In episode 9 of So Say We Travel the podcast, we will discuss Yogi Bear Jellystone campsites in Central Texas.
We've been lucky enough to visit 3 of the 7 RV resorts in Texas, and we'll give you our opinions on each of them.
Finally, we will continue our Battlestar Galactica episodes.
This week we're breaking down Season 1, Episode 4.
Welcome aboard to So Say We Travel. Hi, I'm Sean,
Hi, I'm Charlie.
and we are So Say We Travel, and this will be episode 9 of our podcast series.
Yep.
9 episodes.
Yeah.
Trucking right along.
We are.
This is a very special episode.
I think so.
And we'll definitely talk about why that is here in a bit. But
Mhm.
first of all, I always want to introduce these by saying why we're doing these
Mhm.
podcast episodes. Personally, I believe that knowledge is interchangeable with experience.
Mhm.
And so through our experiences of not only transitioning from sticks and bricks to full-time RV life,
Mhm.
but now going on as newbies onto the road and
Yes.
full-timing in the Galactica.
Yeah.
Hopefully, by us sharing our experience with you, you can gain some knowledge,
Mhm.
avoid some pitfalls of mistakes that we've made across the way.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully, and make your experience that a little bit better. But
Mhm.
also, we want to build a community where
Yes.
people can share their experiences with us as well, and we
Absolutely.
can hopefully gain knowledge from them
Mhm.
as well. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that's the kind of point of these podcast episodes. But again, this one is a very, very special episode, I think, because for lots of reasons. For one, it's our first trip as
Yes.
full-time
As full-timers,
RVers.
yes.
But I was thinking about it last night. There's a lot of firsts happening that are kind of in line with this. I remember our first trip, period, in the
Mhm.
Galactica
Yeah.
was to a certain type of RV resort.
Yes.
And then our first podcast episode that we ever recorded was at a certain type of RV
Really?
resort. Yeah.
Huh.
And so this is our first.
I didn't realize that. But yeah, that's
So
true.
a lot of firsts are kind of the stars
Yeah.
are aligning here. But yeah, so one of our episodes we did before talked about Corps of Engineer campgrounds
Mhm.
and
Yes.
how there was a certain kind of baseline standard that you could expect for them. You could expect space,
Mhm.
you could expect some kind of peace and quiet.
Yeah.
But that was in direct. But there was certain amenities that you wouldn't get at these Corps of Engineer websites because
Right.
they were federal programs.
Right.
Other side of the spectrum, you have
Way other side.
these RV resorts
Yes.
that are absolutely loaded with amenities.
Yes.
And one of the more popular ones, one that we've had the pleasure of visiting 3 times, are the Yogi Bear
Jellystone RV resorts.
And that's actually where we're at right now, at the one in Kerrville, Texas. But our very first trip in the Galactica as a family, when we were still weekend warriors, was to our Yogi Bear Jellystone in Fredericksburg. And then our first podcast episode that we recorded
Yeah.
was at the Yogi Bear Jellystone RV Resort in
Canyon Lake.
And
Yes.
here we are on our first trip as full timers at the Yogi Bear Jellystone in Kerrville.
Yes.
So I just think about the last night. That's pretty awesome.
It is. Yeah.
Very
I didn't
cool.
realize that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about the overall kind of Jellystone parks, like what the baseline expectation you have for those, and then kind of give you our opinions on the individual parks that we've had the pleasure of visiting. And we've had a lot of conversations with people here at this one and at the other ones that have been to other ones that have given us some kind of insights to what they're like. So we think we're coming from a pretty informed position.
I think so.
On kind of what you can get on Jellystone resorts in Texas.
Yep.
But yeah, so just some baseline history. The Yogi Bear Jellystone Camp Resorts were founded in 1969 by Doug Hag and Robert Borkovitz. And a buddy of mine, Matt, he actually, with Vincent Van Gostagram, he actually told me the story of how it was actually founded. So apparently Doug and Robert were just cruising down the road and they saw all these pop-up campers and everything and just how innovators think. He was just like, these families are going to traveling locations to camp. We need to make a place that is an all-inclusive destination that they want to go to bring their RVs to, and thus the inception of Jellystone was born. And so we had the big question of how did they get? Because back in '69, Hanna-Barbera was king. Like had all these huge cartoons and Yogi Bear and all these characters. The Flintstones, Hanna-Barbera, they're massive. How did they get these massive syndicated characters to
the license?
Yeah. So somehow they did. They negotiated the deal, the inner workings. But So they kind of franchise and they made the program. There are currently 79 licensed campgrounds located in 30 states and 3 provinces. So these are also in Canada as well.
Mhm.
Some baseline expectations that you can have for these places is that they're going to be themed with Yogi Bear elements. They provide instant recognition for the brand. Apparently, estimated 2 million campers stay at these every year, and you notice it.
Oh yeah.
You notice it.
Yeah, they're always full.
Yes, but our experience this time has been different since the last one.
Yes.
Slightly different. We'll talk
Yes.
about why.
Mhm.
A prospective campground must have certain standards for coming to Jellystone Park. They are required to have a minimum of 70 campsites and cabins. So there you go. It's
Mhm.
not going to be a
It
small.
has to be large.
It's going to be large.
Mhm.
But they have to have first class restroom facilities. They have to have a laundry facility. They have to have a retail store. So if you forget something, you can't expect for a store to be at
Mhm.
the Jellystone where you can pick up snacks,
Ice.
ice, charcoal.
Yes.
Those things are going to be there.
Mhm.
Has to be at least 1,000 square feet. That's what this says. Crazy.
That's
Wow.
pretty big.
Yeah. So they have
Mhm.
to required to have a swimming pool, game room, children's playground, video theater, covered pavilion. So you see, as a baseline expectation, these things are meant to be sort of opulent.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
come here, it's meant to be an experience and have a
Right.
great time.
Mhm.
And definitely ours have certainly been. But
Mhm.
those are the minimum requirements. But what those minimum requirements look like and how far people go above the requirements
Mhm.
makes the difference
It does.
from one park to the
It
other.
does.
And we'll
Yes.
definitely get into that here.
Mhm.
So our first trip, our first Jellystone we ever visited was the Jellystone RV Resort in Fredericksburg.
Mhm.
So, what are your knee-jerk reaction thoughts about that experience?
Well, first experience being there, I mean, it was awesome. Like it was our first trip as a family.
Mm.
We actually took one of Peyton's friends with us, like 'cause it was her birthday, so it was
Yes.
like a celebration of her birthday. So as a family, it was really fun. It was lots of fun. We had the swimming pool. It was September, so it was hot, so we could enjoy all the amenities. We were outside, the swimming pool. Um, we played. They had a splash pad there too,
Hmm.
and so it was, yeah, I mean, it was nice because, like I said, it was our first camping trip, as a family. And so it was lots of fun for those reasons.
Yep.
And, I mean, this was the first Jellystone that we've been to
Hmm.
as well. So, what else did we do? They had like a wine tasting one night that was pretty
Yes.
nice.
I remember we
Yeah,
pulled in, you checked in, you came up with a little tiny
the
winerita.
winerita,
Yes.
yes.
I was like, whoa,
And
what?
yes, you're like, what is that?
It's
And
a
I'm like,
fruit.
it's a winerita. Apparently, they're serving these. I think it was that night or the next night.
Yes.
They were doing wine tastings. They were serving those wineritas. They had a band there, so they were
Really
playing
cool,
music.
fun band. Yes.
And all the kids, running around playing and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And it's that one in comparison to the other ones was the smallest one that we've been to.
We didn't know that then.
We didn't know that at the
Mm.
time. And so everything was kind of right there, like we could just walk out of the camper and like everything was right there and it was
Hmm.
really, really close.
Certainly.
So that was convenient too, because I think we went to the pool at one time and I think we forgot something. So it was an easy walk back, to get something and then go straight back to the pool because it was, like I said, it was
Just
all right
right
there.
there. Yes.
And then having that little convenience store was nice too, because I think we did get
Hmm.
stuff for s'mores or
Yep.
something. I think
Wood.
I know we forgot something. We went to the store and
Hmm.
we got something from that store, so that was nice to have
Yes.
as well. Yeah, yeah, that was kind of my view of it.
Yeah, it was small.
It was small.
Backing it in, getting the trailer in there.
Yes, I mean that was the
Yeah.
first time you backed in it in the trailer, like had
Yes.
to back it up, and
Hmm.
so that was. I mean, I'll let you tell that story
Well, yeah.
because.
I mean, it was the first time backing it in. I was already nervous.
Hmm.
Um, didn't have that much experience backing it up anywhere
Right.
because we even in the storage when we put it away was a pull through.
Hmm.
But we had watched all the videos of techniques and things you can do,
Hmm.
so I felt relatively prepared. Just
Hmm.
had to execute. But then,
You got there,
yeah,
and it
yeah, and
was
it's just
whoa.
like God, the spaces are so tight.
Yeah.
I think the only reason that I, as a novice, it's probably a more experienced driver could have done it with no problem.
Hmm.
But the only way I was able to get into it is because the lot across from us,
Hmm.
across the street, was empty.
Yeah.
So I was
But
able.
yeah, not only were they tight like in comparison to being next to each other, but
The
across
roadway was
was
so
very
slim,
very
and it
narrow.
was a dirt road, wasn't
Hmm.
paved. So I was able to pull straight across and then back straight in.
And you
So
wouldn't have been able to do that if somebody was already in
and
that
already
site.
there, definitely. And then there was an accident later that night.
Hmm.
Someone came through. We were we're 30 feet, right?
Hmm.
He was probably about
He wasn't much longer than
much
us.
longer, probably 34, 36, and he hit someone just trying to make the turn because their RV was too far out into the curb, and he didn't. I
He
don't know if
didn't.
he.
I don't think he made the turn wide enough.
Yeah,
But then there was cars
on the other side, yeah,
parked
it was
around
really
that
cramped.
site
Mhm.
right on the corner. Which I mean, you can't blame them, but you can't blame the guy either
Yeah,
because it was just a bad situation.
yeah. So that's
But
nitpicking.
then come to find out that guy actually had like literally bought the RV
That day,
that day
That
and
day.
drove it to the site. So he
Yes.
was a noob
He was more
as
of a noob
well.
than we were. Well,
Yes.
great, yes. But it was great. It was
It
exactly
was.
what we
It
needed at
was,
the
yeah.
time. And they had all the amenities there.
hmm
They had a splash pad. They had the outside pool. They had a hot tub outside, which I didn't.
Yeah.
It was in the sun. It
Yeah.
wasn't even shaded. Like the little kids are in there just sweating. Like
Yeah. It wasn't
more.
that hot though. Like the hot tub itself wasn't that
No,
hot.
no, no. It was warm.
It was
But
warm. It
just
was like
imagine jumping
lukewarm
into
bath
warm
water.
water. Yeah, warm bath water on a summer day. It
Yeah.
was, but it was a blast. Like
Mhm.
it was the first time we were out there as a family. You never forget the first trip,
Mhm.
and yeah, so it'll always be special. But as we visited other Jellystones, you start to realize, ooh, that
Yeah.
this could have been way better. There were no golf carts
Not for that one. I
because
guess
the
because
park
it's
is
so
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 small. You
small. Yeah.
don't need it.
Yeah.
And to me personally, having experienced other parks, I'm gonna go ahead and put that was a good thing.
Mhm.
Um, I like walking everywhere. I have no
Mhm.
problem walking anywhere. I think it maintains more the peace and quiet when
Mhm.
people are walking places as opposed to motorized things going around.
Yeah.
And we'll talk again why that may be a downside for you on at these other parks that we've
I
been
mean,
to.
I think that's a big part of this lifestyle, anyways. You enjoy the outdoors.
Hmm.
So you want to be outside, you want to be walking around. I mean, a golf cart's just kind of like another car,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
to get in and to
yeah.
go, and
Hmm.
that's not really why a lot of us are in this lifestyle.
Yep.
It's because we like to be outside, we like to be a part of, what's going on, and
Hmm.
and walking,
Hmm.
gives you that.
So it's in every way a resort.
Yes.
That one's just a little more rough.
hmm
Currently says on the website that they're under construction, they're developing, and they're growing. I think all of them do
I
this.
think it's a nice spot though because it's in Fredericksburg,
Yeah.
which is a really nice touristy area. They have the wineries that you can go and visit. They have lots of breweries around there. I
Hmm.
mean, Fredericksburg is a touristy
Hmm.
town.
Hmm.
You go there any day of the week and there's hundreds of people walking
Just walking
around
around.
because it's a touristy town. So it's a nice little location for that reason too. Yeah, the amenities are not as much as the other ones are,
Hmm.
but it's fact that where it's at,
Hmm.
and it's so close. I think it's only like a 10-minute drive to get to Fredericksburg.
It was much more of a homey feel.
Mhm.
There was like one or two people that were working that you saw at the front, you
Mhm.
know. So again, it felt much more homey, more
Mhm.
country. And these are individually owned and franchised, from what I understand, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And so it's just a different vibe. Like
Mhm.
they have a mini golf course, but it would just sit up in the parking lot
Yeah.
out in front.
Something else that we've noticed too is that they have the ones that we've been to have things going on like activities and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Hmm.
The one in Fredericksburg did not have that.
Yeah, scheduled activities. I just don't
Mm-mm.
think they had the staff. I
Right.
really don't think they had the staff to,
Mhm.
maintain those things. They did have this really nice game room, and it
Mhm.
was all kind of this wood, kind of rustic looking. It
Mhm.
was very, very beautiful space, but there was no one in there. No one
Right.
was facilitating these activities.
Mhm.
The only thing that was going on was the pool, the
Mhm.
splash pad, and the little drink bar with the
Mhm.
the black top for the
Yeah.
wineries and the dancing. To be fair, this was right at the height of
Yeah.
COVID.
It was in September, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So I imagine there could be more staff that they had employed.
Mhm.
So maybe they just weren't coming to work because of
Maybe.
COVID.
Mhm.
They were running on, skeleton crew.
Mhm.
But either way, it's great experience,
Mhm.
just totally different vibe. So if you're looking for something more out of the way, close to a really cool touristy
Mhm.
town, little tighter, little smaller, everything's within walking distance. The washrooms are really nice.
They were. Mhm.
That like those minimum standard things they have to have were
Yeah.
really, really. The store was great.
Mhm.
The washrooms were nice.
Mhm.
The covered pavilion was tiny.
It was
Yeah, but did have this giant field.
like a stage too over there.
Yeah,
They were
and that
doing
giant
something.
field, and they had the what's that ball pit,
Gaga ball.
Gaga ball pit.
Gaga. Yeah, Gaga
Yeah,
ball.
yeah. So they've got some definite reasons to go
Mhm.
and visit that one.
Yeah.
And again, distance makes a world of a difference. So
Mhm.
if you're coming from the north, that's going to be the closest one to you, I think. Is it? I'm not sure.
What do you mean coming from the north?
Like from Dallas, like us, like where we're at in the north. If you're
Mhm.
coming from the south, or if you live in Austin,
Oh yeah.
they're all
Mhm.
equal distance. But if you're coming from somewhere going to the
Mhm.
Fredericksburg one might be a little closer to you than Canyon Lake or Guadalupe River.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. So if mileage is an issue for you, that might be the park for you, the one to go to.
Mhm.
But enough about Fredericksburg. It was great, and it was our first trip.
Yeah.
We weren't even doing podcasts then.
No.
We were just living the life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the next one we went to, the Jellystone and Canyon Lake,
Mhm.
knee-jerk reactions on that one go.
I feel like that one was extremely tight. The
Yes.
spot that we were in was really, really tight, and I
Mhm.
think we got lucky because we got there first before anybody else around us
Oh
did.
yeah.
And so we were able to position ourselves where we wanted to be.
Mhm.
But I feel like the people that came after us that were right next to us had to do a lot of like figuring out where to
Mhm.
position their
Mhm.
RV because
Mhm.
even putting our slide out, it was like right on top of them.
Yes.
And so if we had gotten there later, I think it would have been an uncomfortable experience. But we did position ourselves far enough back from the site to where they could position themselves the other way far
Mhm.
enough back, and then
Mhm.
that way we could both have our slides out and be comfortable. We actually didn't hook up sewer at that one because we were so far from it.
So we dumped before we left.
We dumped, but yeah, when
We
we
pulled
left,
up, dumped, and then left. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
because that's how small like and tight it was.
And that was to accommodate the other people.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
which I personally don't think that should be a responsibility of
It shouldn't be ours, but I mean, but what we did, we
being
took the
considerate.
initiative
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make sure that the people next to us could be comfortable
Well,
as well.
also when you give them more space, it kind of protects yourself in a way.
Mhm.
If you give them more space to operate, that's less chance that they will hit and damage your things. You know,
Right.
so it was
Yeah.
kind of a.
So though, I mean, that was my first response to that was,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, this is extremely tight.
Mhm.
And then as far as being there though, it was, I mean, it was a lot of fun. We were
Yes.
there for like 4 days. I think we were at Fredericksburg the same amount of time too. It was like
Mhm.
4 days.
Mhm.
But it was kind of cold because it was in April, so it was around Easter, so it was still kind of cold. So we couldn't use too many of the amenities that they had there. They had like slides and water parks and stuff too, but it was way too cold. So we used the indoor pool a lot
And they did not have an indoor pool at
at Fredericksburg.
Fredericksburg, so
Yeah, they
this was
did
something
not.
new for us. It was like,
Right.
wow, indoor pool, cool.
Indoor pool, yeah.
Yeah.
So we could still go and have a good time because they
Mhm.
had that pool. And we spent a lot of time there. We did. We spent a lot of time in the indoor pool. But at that one they had activities going on,
Yes.
which the other one did not. So there was a app that you could download, and so I
Mhm.
downloaded the app, and it's called Campers app. And so you check in when you get there. And then it has a list of every single day that you're there. It has all the activities and everything that are going on. So we did a lot. We did like candy bar bingo was one of
Yes.
them. We did the tie-dye shirts was another
Yes.
one.
Mhm.
What else do we do? I think that was it. There wasn't
Of,
too
of,
many activities going on. I feel like
no, we did we
they
did
were
well. We
spaced
saw the
out.
hayride. We saw like we didn't do them, but we saw that
Oh,
the things
yeah.
were going on,
Mhm.
and the park it's tight. You know, it's not as small as Fredericksburg,
Mhm.
but they pack a lot into
They do.
a much slightly bigger space.
Mhm.
So anything going on, you can see it. You
Mhm.
know, like when they did the hay rides, when they
Yeah.
did the water gun
Mhm.
fight, all the wet hay rides, all that stuff. You
Mhm.
know, you weren't doing it per se, but you were kind of a part of it
Part of
because
it,
it was
yeah.
taking place. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I feel like they didn't have too many activities going on throughout the day.
Hmm.
There's just a few here and there.
Hmm.
So we did a few of those. Um, and yeah, I mean that was my kind of first reaction
Yeah.
to it.
That was in one of that was the first episode, and
Hmm.
I think we only had the headsets to record. We didn't have a microphone.
Right.
So, but it was a good thing that we did have the headsets
Hmm.
because like the people
Right
were
across from
right
us,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
when they
So
got there.
yeah, it's just that's how tight these are. Just an expectation to have when going to these RV resorts,
Hmm.
the Jellystone ones. They're gonna
I
be.
think we did have to stop a lot when we were recording because
Yeah.
I mean they were like right there like setting up their RV, so we did have to stop a lot
Hmm.
to get it set up because it like you said they were right there.
They were packing them in there.
Hmm.
But overall though, it was definitely a better experience. Better. They had
Hmm.
more stuff
Hmm.
than Fredericksburg,
Hmm.
but
Oh, something about that was the first trip that we took I don't think it was the first trip that we took the dogs, but we had the dogs on that one.
hmm.
And I feel like there was really no place for the dogs
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
We kind of had to makeshift little areas for them to go,
Hmm.
walk around and go to the bathroom. They
Hmm.
really didn't have any kind of areas for dogs. to go to the bathroom and walk around, because pretty much every space they have there is being used, right? It's either a playground or that Gaga ball pit or
Washroom.
something, the
Yep.
washroom.
Hmm.
I feel like every space that they have is being used by something, so there's not a lot of area for the dogs.
They did have a hiking trail.
They did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember seeing the kind of the walk off for that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't feel like a walking trail is a good area for you
For
to
take
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 your
your dog.
dog to
Very
use a
good point.
bathroom.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
they really should have designated areas for that.
Hmm.
That way, you're not walking and enjoying a hike,
Hmm.
with your dogs, going to the bathroom, and then you have to carry the poop bags and stuff around. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have an area that's designated to go to the
You're
bathroom. That
absolutely
way
right.
you can throw the poop away and stuff like that.
Yes. But yeah, that's totally true. I didn't even think about the dogs. And was that the first only time we brought them with us?
I can't remember. I don't think it was the first time,
Yeah.
but it was the first. We didn't take them to the Fredericksburg one.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, that was the Jellystone and Canyon Lake. I mean, but it was in Canyon Lake, and
Mhm.
what road is it off of? Like, if you look through the trees, you can see.
It's right along the river.
Hmm.
I can't remember the road. There's
That
a
was
highway. I think it was 306 is the highway that it's on.
the one thing that, again, Fredericksburg, it is out of the way. You're in
Hmm.
wine country. The only road that runs by is, what road is that?
290.
290.
Mhm.
So if you're positioned in a certain place, you won't see it.
Right.
You
It's
know.
not close to the highway at
Yeah.
all.
And then you get into Canyon Lake though, and it's tucked like right in the middle of
Hmm.
a town out
Yeah.
there. And so like,
And it's not far off of 35
yeah,
either.
so you could see, if you look through the certain ways, like you could see like other buildings,
Hmm.
like other shops,
Yeah.
like little takes you a little bit out of it.
Hmm.
They did have golf carts, but I didn't. Not too many people were using them.
I don't
I
feel
just
like they
think
were.
just the staff had the golf carts.
Hmm.
I can't remember, but I don't think too many people were using them.
Hmm.
Again, it wasn't that large,
Right.
so I don't think it was necessary.
Hmm.
Um, so then we'll get into where we are right now. We're at Yogi Bear, Jellystone, and Guadalupe River
Yes.
in Kerrville,
Kerrville,
Texas.
Texas.
And so each lot that we stayed at, so
Hmm.
the one in Fredericksburg was tiny, but I think that's because all the spaces in Fredericksburg were tiny.
I think so.
But one thing we did notice is that in Canyon Lake,
Mhm.
like, they have much bigger sites. We're like,
Yes. So yeah, the site we stayed at was pretty small, but when we were walking around, they had like some concrete slab
I'm
ones,
like,
and I was
what are
like,
those?
that looks nice.
Yes.
And so those ones were big. They were spaced out.
Yes.
And they had like a fire pit and a picnic table and
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm gonna get one of those next time we
Yes.
book one of these trips, because that looks really
And
nice.
you get what you pay for.
Yes,
And
and
so,
I mean, at first, because the first couple trips that I booked, I was like, I wasn't trying to splurge or anything like that. So I was like, oh, we'll just get, the regular site, it'll be fine.
mhm.
Um, but when we went to the one in Canyon Lake, and how small and tiny, and I'm pretty sure I'll have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure I paid for a premium site. And I think premium meant that it was close to the water park. I don't think it meant that
The
it
concrete slab.
was. Well, I knew it wasn't a concrete slab. I knew it wasn't that, but I there were like spots below the one that I got,
And ours was,
and ours was really really small, like teeny
yes.
teeny tiny.
Yeah. So, yeah.
If we were any bigger, I don't think we would have fit, and we're only 30 feet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So anyway, so walking around, I was like, I'm gonna splurge and get one of those concrete slab sites next time. Just
And we did.
yes, and we did this time.
Uh,
So yes, so we're now at the one in Kerrville.
mhm.
And I definitely wanted to splurge on this trip, because this was going to be our first trip as full timers.
Mhm.
So I definitely wanted to splurge.
Well, I want to talk about that, because
Okay.
we meant to do it at the beginning, but I didn't.
Hmm.
Um, this has been a unique experience in itself, because I
Hmm.
remember one of the things we were so excited about was not having to pack a bag,
Yes,
you
it's
know?
been fun.
Yeah. So it was I still haven't wrapped my mind around the fact.
Mhm.
I don't think it's not real to me yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Like
Yeah.
it's if we had them, we didn't have anywhere to be on Monday. We could just pay more money and just stay here and
Yeah.
not have to worry about like a home to go to,
Hmm.
or
Yeah, so
it's
it's been a whole nother experience as far as going on vacation with your entire house.
yes.
Because like you said, you don't have to pack a bag. We didn't have to pack anything. We didn't have to forget anything.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, it's been pretty awesome just to
Really cool.
experience that.
Really cool. And it's so relieving. It
Yeah.
takes so much of the stress That was another thing. I was, people, I imagine people worry about this, but I had the concern too, is just living on the road and the
Mhm.
stress of traveling. When you travel, you're always stressed out.
Mhm.
Like, so if your life is constantly traveling, you
Mhm.
imagine you constantly are in that heightened state of like stress.
Yeah.
No, I
Mm-mm.
feel like this has been less because you don't worry about packing anything,
Mhm.
like aside
I
from the
remember
drive.
before when we were getting ready for the trips, I would do most of the stuff getting ready and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But you had to get ready one time, I think because I was working, and so I made a checklist,
Hmm. It is
right?
so much stuff.
And it was a lot of stuff. Like there's this, I had this checklist that I had to send him of all the stuff to do,
Hmm.
to get ready for a trip, and we didn't have to do that this time.
Nope.
I mean, we have, the obviously we have to pack the RV and get it ready to travel and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
But as far as like having packing certain things and getting, certain items ready, like plugging in the RV and making sure the fridge is on like the day before,
Yep.
none of that stuff has to be done.
Nope.
You just make sure everything's in a neat little place so it's not going to move around, and then
Hmm.
you just go.
Yep. And we brought Maddie's bikes. We brought the water filters. It all fit just fine.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, we're still downsizing. You never finish downsizing.
Yeah.
Still refining what do we need to actually use this, things like that.
Hmm.
But it's been so liberating.
Yeah.
It's so freeing.
I
And
think it was really cool actually yesterday, because with the umbrella, we have an umbrella, and so we're still kind of learning how to get it to stay.
hmm.
So we like built this little contraption to get the umbrella to stay, but it actually flew out, and so I was like, well, maybe drill some holes in it and put the zip tie in it to kind of keep it steady or whatever.
Hmm.
And he was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So he just went and grabbed his drill.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was here,
Yes.
like we didn't have to worry about, oh, I don't have my drill with me.
Yeah.
You
I'll wait.
can't
I'll do when I get
can't
home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No.
He was just like, no, let's just do it now.
Yeah.
And so he drilled the hole in it, and we tried to, anchor the umbrella a little bit. So I thought that was really cool. I thought
Hmm.
that was neat. Just having like all of your stuff here. It's not like you said, it's not something that he could take care of when he gets home. Just take care of
Everything,
it now.
literally everything is here. Like,
Yeah, like literally we have everything that we
we
own
got
right
the
here with
Wi-Fi.
us.
We picked our internet. We got the Wi-Fi going. So it's not like we're searching for Wi-Fi.
Hmm.
Literally, we are pretty self-contained.
Hmm.
And it's a great feeling.
It really
And
is.
so I was thinking about just how this is what. No, we're not going to RV resorts, but we will be going to campsites or
Hmm.
boondocking somewhere. This is the process,
Hmm.
and I'm thinking about what this process will look like in different scenarios. And I was
Hmm.
like, if we only drove what 300 miles,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
and took us about 3 hours,
Hmm.
and some change. So if we planned just to travel to move
Hmm.
300 miles every 2 weeks, and that's our life,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, then
Hmm.
this is that we've done it. This is the process. We drive about 3.5 hours. We get
Hmm.
to where we're going. We set up. We stay there for 2 weeks. Get the RV ready to go. Pack
Yeah.
it up. Just like, of
Hmm.
course, and you deal with the crises that pop up along the way. But that's the rotation, and I'm like, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I am here for it. So ready to go.
Hmm.
And apologize for kind of cutting in the middle. I wanted to do that at the beginning of the episode
Yeah.
as our update. I might cut it and put it up there anyway. But yeah, so now back to it's through that lens that we are now experiencing Kerrville, Guadalupe River, Jellystone,
Yes.
and it's been so good.
Yes.
She got the big site.
I got the RV red carpet site is what it's called. It's the best one that you can get, the highest one up there.
Oh
So
man,
I definitely splurged for that one.
yes, it is
But it,
ridiculously
it's
massive.
it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So originally though, we were actually closer to the amenities, because when I first booked it, I only booked it for like 4 days, 4 or 5 days, I think.
Hmm.
But then I actually wanted to extend our stay, to a whole week. So in the process of trying to get our stay extended, we actually had to move, sites. But I actually like this one better. I think this one where we're at is a lot better than where we would have been, because we would have been on the other side closer to the amenities, which would have been fine. But this one is kind of back away from the amenities, which I actually like because we're actually right in front of the rec center, and
Hmm.
so that's where all the stuff's going on. And so we just send Maddie over there like all the time, going and doing the stuff. So I kind of like being in the spot that we're at.
Yes,
Hmm.
and it's got its ups and its downsides, and
Hmm.
for
I mean, the
a l-
downs are like nothing, though. I mean, like,
uh,
okay, well,
in
yes, I know what
comparison, you're absolutely right. In
you're wanting.
comparison,
Yeah,
in comparison, it is an RV resort.
it is.
It is not it's not our Granger spot
No,
where we're out of the
no, it's
way and it's
not.
quiet and it's
Hmm.
peaceful.
It's a resort. It has It's the biggest one that we've been to in comparison to the three.
It's
It's
massive.
the biggest
It's
one.
pretty
I think
massive.
there's like over 150 sites here or something like
Hmm.
that. There's a lot.
Yes.
With cabins too. It's like cabins and
Mhm.
RV
The
sites.
water park is huge. It's a
It's
water
it's an
park.
actual water park.
It is a
Yeah, there's
water
4
park.
slides.
Yes.
There's a kid area with the whole, dumping of the water barrel.
Hmm.
And there's one, two, three, 4 pools
Yeah.
altogether.
Good grief.
Yeah, because
Yes.
there's 2 like just kind of like waiting pools, kid
Hmm.
areas. Then there's a sports one that has like a basketball goal and stuff. Well, actually it has 3 basketball goals. And then there's the indoor pool and the hot tub.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's huge. It's massive.
And the rec center and
Mhm.
washrooms, they're huge.
Mhm. And they're
Which was
spaced
right
out
over there.
too. So the rec center and stuff is not close to the water park. It's actually on the other side.
And
It's a
these
little
are
bit of a
legit
walk.
roads, like 2 lane. The roads around
Mhm.
everything are 2 lane. Like you can do coming and going, 2 large
Yeah.
vehicles, 2 RVs could pass on these, and we've not
Mhm.
seen that at Canyon Lake or Fredericksburg. That was not, God, that was not even
It was
feasible.
like one way
Oh
because there
man,
was no
yeah,
way that
yeah,
2
yeah.
could get through.
So this is just a massive
Mhm.
Jellystone. It's
Mhm.
huge. And with that, you get the space, but you also get the traffic and the people.
Mhm.
And then with that introduces again, the distance is so large that people don't want to walk anywhere,
No,
and
so they
everyone
have
drives a
golf
golf
carts
cart.
everywhere, which you might hear, and so we apologize because
Yes,
we're right by the road.
yes.
We're not kind of far away, so if you hear them, then we apologize. But
And
there's so many of them. Everybody
yes,
has one here.
and it's the we got this really great spot, and when you're on a corner spot, you get all of the grass
Mhm.
essentially. That's your yard.
Yeah,
You're not hindered by another thing being next to you. So that's a plus of this spot, but only fortunately we're right on the corner, so you got
there's a lot of traffic. Yeah.
intersection. So, and if it was just people walking, wouldn't be that big of a deal. But
Mhm.
it's like once a certain type, like we tried to get this recording. This is the earliest podcast recording we've ever done, trying to beat the rush before people wake up, because I know like come noon,
Mhm.
the
Everybody's gonna be going
yeah,
around.
the traffic's gonna be nonstop with
Yeah,
the golf carts. But nitpicking, there's staff everywhere,
there is
and every
a
single one
lot.
I've met and had a conversation with, it's like you look, okay, did you work at Chick-fil-A at some point in your life? You
Yeah.
know, because they are
And
ridiculously
we didn't
friendly and
and we didn't
helpful.
get that at the other ones, I feel
No,
like.
I don't think they had the bodies for it. I don't think they had the staff.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
definitely think that too. So yeah, that was a different experience in
Hmm.
itself, because we noticed just how friendly everybody was. Every
Hmm.
single person we've talked to
Hmm.
has been nice, waving,
Yes,
all the time when they go by.
and they're familiar. Like we've been here. Oh, that's another thing we didn't mention with the. We've been here for a week.
A week.
We got here on a Sunday, and we
It's
don't leave till
Saturday.
tomorrow.
We
Yeah,
don't leave until tomorrow.
it got to be like Tuesday, and you get that itch of like, okay, we got to start breaking things down. And you're like, wait, no, we still have
Oh, nope.
5 more days.
Yeah, which is another experience in itself too, because we were here during the week, and so
Mhm.
it was not as packed.
Yes.
It's still summertime. It's August, so it
Hmm.
was still there's still a lot of people here, but it
Hmm.
wasn't as packed as like a weekend
Hmm.
is. So that was kind of nice too, because we went to the pool and
Yes.
got a spot, and
Yes.
because you have to get there early to get a table and chairs and stuff if you want them. So it
Hmm.
was nice during the week when we would go, because we could set up. So that was an experience in itself too, just not being around as many people during the week.
Yeah, definitely. And to see the crowd leave,
Mhm.
because we got there on a Sunday,
Mhm.
so we had the crowd leave. We saw them leave on Monday,
Mhm.
Tuesday, and it really thinned out Wednesday and
Wednesday
Thursday.
and Thursday.
But
Mhm.
also to watch the new crowd start
Yeah.
to come in, it is like this is going to be our life when we're full
Yeah.
timing. So like you watch the people leave, and
Yeah.
then the
I'm
the
sure it's
weekend
even I'm
warriors.
sure it's even better a little bit further into the year too, like
Yes,
September
when
time
you're
frame
off
when
season.
everybody is, back to school and
Hmm.
work and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I'm excited to experience it at
Yeah.
that time
So
too.
it's been a lot of firsts for this trip. It's been really really cool.
Mhm.
Um, the resort is really really nice.
Yeah, this one there's activities all day long.
Like
They had
hour on the
you
hour, like.
download the app, yeah,
Hmm.
and on the app every single hour there's something going on.
Hmm.
They've been doing tattoos, they've been doing ceramics painting, they've been doing the tie-dye and
Hmm.
the fabric paint too if you don't want to do the tie-dye.
Hmm.
They had roller skating the other night. The kids had a lot of fun with that.
Foam party.
Foam party.
Hmm.
Yes, last night they had a DJ at the rec center,
Yep.
and then tonight I think they have a live band as
Yep.
well. So there's a lot going on here.
Yes. Um, wasn't always that way. We were talking with some people.
Mhm.
Apparently, this lot used to be a little stop off biker bar combo,
Yes.
but they bought it out, like changed it to
Yeah.
a smaller Jellystone, and
Hmm.
then
I don't think it was a
renovated
Jellystone. I think they
just the
changed it
RV
into
park.
some kind of RV like
Yeah.
park, and it didn't have like the water park and stuff like
Mhm.
that, but it had like some of the little smaller amenities.
So it's grown and blown up,
Hmm.
and it's absolutely beautiful.
It
Like,
is. Hmm.
but it again, it depends on what you're looking for, right?
Hmm.
We've done the campsites where you're camping. I would say one slight step above boondocking,
Hmm.
out at the COE sites,
Hmm.
and then the other side of the spectrum is you get these RV resorts, and
Right.
you get what you pay for, I
Right.
think. And we've had an absolute blast at all three of them.
Hmm.
This Kerrville one has been a really special trip for us simply
Yeah.
because we're full timing now, and it changes everything about your camping experience.
Hmm.
And just great amenities, great activities, great staff. They do a trash pickup
Oh yeah,
that
that's
kind of
pretty
blew me away.
nice.
I saw people when we got here the first day, there was just
Hmm.
bags of trash sitting everywhere, and you're like, "What? What's going on here?" So I'm driving. I put trash on the back of the truck, and I'm driving. I asked the dude, I'm like, "Hey man, where's the dumpster? Where do I go put my trash?" He said, "Oh no, dude, just no, it's okay, sir. Just set it out at your RV lot. We'll come and pick it up." And I
Yeah.
was like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah, that was new.
Yeah.
And it's
So,
all day too. It's not
mhm,
like you have to have certain times.
mhm,
Like you just from like I think it's 8 to 6 or 8 to 7,
mhm.
all day long. You
Yep.
you just put your trash out and they have people coming around and
So
picking
my
it up.
Yeah, I kind of see that, and I'm saying I wish they kind of did have times because I don't want to look at bags of trash just sitting around all day. But being here for a week, it's not been obnoxious or out of
No, it
control.
hasn't.
It
I
hasn't.
mean, they're constantly driving by all
Yeah,
day long.
yeah, they stay on top of it pretty well.
Mhm.
They do have one big pickup in the morning, so if you're an early riser, you may see more bags
Mhm.
than most people see through the day,
Mhm.
like we are right now. The dogs get us up pretty early,
Yeah.
so we go and we see up before a lot of the people wake up. So there's a lot of trash before they do their one big run in the morning,
Mhm.
and then they kind of maintain through the day,
Mhm.
and it's not really that noticeable at all. Um, yeah, so the staff does a really really great job. They're great with the kids.
Mhm.
I think their presence at the pool is just one of legal
Well,
requirement.
they have people managing the slides,
That's about it. Yeah,
but as far as swimming and stuff like that,
yeah,
no, they don't have any
yeah.
lifeguards on duty. They
There
just have people for the slides.
it
That's
is
it.
really the honor system here where they have a lot of they do have rules and expectations in place, but they
Mhm.
just kind of hope that everyone abides by them. They're not really going out as enforcers too much.
Yeah.
um, and I think that allows them to be as friendly as they are. They're not coming across as like
Mhm.
park rangers,
Yeah.
trying to shut down Yogi and Boo Boo's party. But that's really there's not much more we can say about it.
No,
It's a really nice area out
I
here.
think so.
We
Yeah.
took a drive up to Mo Ranch,
Mhm.
kind of driving through, just checking out the spots. It's
Mhm.
Kerrville's beautiful,
It
really
is a
really
nice
nice.
little
Kingdom's
area.
really
Yeah.
nice. So yeah, like hopefully you gain something from us sharing our experiences at three different parks that'll help you make a better choice when choosing which one you want to spend at.
Mhm.
And again, that's three Yogi Bear Jellystone RV resorts in Central Texas: Fredericksburg, Canyon Lake, and Guadalupe River, Kerrville. All right, now's that point of the show where we talk about some Battlestar Galactica. This week we're going to be reviewing and giving our opinions on season 1, episode 4,
Mhm.
Act of Contrition. This episode was written by Bradley Thompson and David Weddle, and it was directed by Rob Hardy. So there's one big story
Mhm.
that happens in this one.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really further the plot too much, but you get a lot of depth for the characters.
Mhm.
And the story pretty much centers around um, Adama,
Mhm.
Commander
Captain
Adama,
Commander Adama. Mhm.
Lee,
Lee. Mhm.
and then Kara,
Yes.
and kind of their relationship and their dynamic. And they're the three really that this episode focuses on.
Mhm.
But as with anything in Battlestar Galactica, something, of course, they're responding, running from the sidelines, but trying to survive in space
Mhm.
and being faced with these realities. Like we talked about the water issue,
Mhm.
you know, this time they're dealing with a whole nother issue, a personnel issue.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings that crisis to bear, and you see how they deal with it.
Mhm.
And that's what introduces kind of this whole thing that happens between the three of them. So
Yeah.
um, they lose personnel. How do they lose personnel?
So there's an accident that happens. One of the pilots is they're celebrating his 1,000th landing.
Hmm.
So it's a big celebration. Everybody is kind of, they're throwing him around in a wagon, and
Hmm.
everybody's like getting prepared. They make it a big, huge deal. And you notice one of the what is it called?
Drones,
But it was a specific type of drone.
com drone.
comm drone
Hmm.
is coming loose off of one of the towers that they're all on. And so eventually it breaks. They make it a whole like drama, thing up leading up to it. But one of them breaks, sends it off, and it actually flies into the
The
pilots.
pilots, hmm,
So it kills 13.
13 and wounded 7.
Yeah, so it kills 13 of the pilots. So then they're dealt with this crisis of we have all these Vipers.
40.
We have 40 Vipers, and now we only have 21 pilots.
Yep.
So they're like, we need to train some people to be
Hmm.
pilots. And so that's kind of the storyline, the basic storyline
Yes,
of this
we
episode.
need to get
We
new
need more
bodies to
pilots.
fill. So that is kind of the foil
Hmm.
that gets the ball rolling.
Right.
Just so happens that the person most qualified to train Viper
Is
pilots
Starbuck.
is Starbuck,
She's the what is it called? She's the commanding, or no,
combat flight instructor.
combat flight instructor.
Hmm.
There you go. Yes.
So Adama knows this.
Hmm.
Admiral Commander Adama knows that she, before all this went crazy,
Hmm.
back when she worked one of her jobs because she's such a great pilot.
Hmm.
One of her jobs before the Cylons attacked was to train pilots to get
Hmm.
them certified, basic flight
Hmm.
school, things like that. So
Yep.
he knew this. He did do his research though. He checked the fleet and found that there were 2 civilian pilots in the fleet, pilot instructors.
Hmm.
And just because he asked her to do it, and her first jump's like, I don't want to do it. You don't know why she doesn't want to do it,
Yeah,
but
but you
she's like,
find out like
you do
throughout
find
the
out
episode.
very quickly. You do find out
Hmm.
why she doesn't want to do it, but he's like, no, they don't have no combat tactics or anything. I need combat tactics. I need
Hmm.
you. I know you're a great pilot and a great flight instructor, and I know you did right by my son, because he notices her hesitancy, and
Hmm.
he's like, I know you might have reservations about training anybody to
Hmm.
fly because of what happened with Zach. And for those of you who don't know, Zach died flying a Viper, and when he wasn't supposed to, because
Hmm.
Starbuck confessed to Lee in the miniseries
Hmm.
that
That she passed
she passed him
Yes.
basic flight, and when he wasn't supposed to be passed.
Yeah.
And the only reason
Because she was in a relationship with him. Like that's why
yes,
she was actually. You find out in this episode that they
mhm,
were actually engaged
yes,
at the time, and so she didn't want to be the reason that he didn't pass basic flight. So she confesses that to Lee in the miniseries.
but only because he was mad at his dad, and she was like, it's not right for him to face the end of the world angry at his dad when I know the truth.
Right.
And so she revealed it to him so he could let go of his anger, and it made the difference.
It
It
did.
definitely. Only problem is that now someone else has her secret,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, she goes and she accepts the job because
Hmm.
Adama what Adama does.
Yeah.
He gets what he wants. He's just
Yes.
like, you're the
You're
best
gonna do
pilot. You're
this.
gonna do this, and so she's like, okay, I'll do it.
Hmm.
But while they're having this conversation, there's flashes to her and Zach, and when Adama meets Kara for the first time, and
Hmm.
you know, and they're meeting after the funeral. For the
Hmm.
first time, they meet after
Yeah.
after Zach's funeral, and so that's when he finds out. He lets her know that he knows that they were engaged, and
Hmm.
he adopts her as his daughter in that moment. My son loved you, so I love you. That's all that matters. Um, but as far as he knows,
Yeah.
so don't want to get ahead of myself. Kara turns down, takes the job,
Hmm.
takes the new. You meet the Nuggets. You meet
Yeah.
Hot Dog. You meet Cat. You meet
Chuckles.
Chuckles. I did not know this, but I was listening to Battlestar Galactica cast. Hot Dog is actually an Olmos. He's Edward J. Olmos' son.
What?
In real life.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Really cool little fun fact there for
Wow.
you. Yeah. So you meet these characters that will last. They will last through the show. Not the entirety of the show, but they will have a role later.
Yeah.
Oh God, probably just spoiled everything.
Hmm.
You don't know which one's not going to make it though. So she takes him out, and how does it go?
It's some of them have flight experience, so that's why these are the first round of ones that she's training. They have a little bit of flight experience, so they know how to fly at least. So she takes them out and she puts them in the cockpit, and she immediately fails them.
Yes.
She's like
super hard on them.
Yeah, so like they can't cut it. And at one point, one of the pilots is like, "You can't blame us. It's the first day." And she's like, "You're done."
Yeah, you're done. You're done.
So she immediately goes. She tells Lee, she's like, "Fail them. They're done. Give me the next batch." And he's like, "The next batch hasn't even been in a cockpit. They don't even know how to fly at all."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I don't care. They're done."
Yeah. But this is all because she just doesn't want to risk.
Yeah. she
her
can't.
guilt.
Yeah, she can't do that. She can't pass them. She doesn't. I guess she doesn't want to train them. In reality, she doesn't. She doesn't want that responsibility.
Yeah,
To
she'd
fall on
rather
her.
fail them than
Put them out
pass
there.
them and be
Pass them.
wrong like she was before.
Right.
And so there wouldn't be an issue, except Lee knows this.
Mm-hmm.
So when she washes them out and Lee goes to talk to his dad about it,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, hey, I think she washed them out because
She has
she's
some
guilty
guilt.
about Zach. And he's like,
What?
What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Why would she be guilty about what she did for Zach? And Lee's like, oh my God, I thought you said you talked to her, because it was just a miscommunication. But all of a sudden, the secret that Starbuck had,
Mm-hmm.
Lee accidentally puts out there to the person that she probably didn't want finding out
Yeah.
ever. And so then
And so Lee doesn't say anything. He's like, you should talk to Kara.
he pulls a son card. And it was a really powerful moment
Mhm.
where Adama wants the answer. And he's like, Captain. And like Lee turns around. He's like, Dad, you need to talk to her
Kara.
herself.
Mhm.
And it was just cool to see how these two, some people don't like it, but I love the shifts, how they go between military superior, subordinate to dad, son. And, they navigate that relationship. And it's a really, really cool moment where he's just like, no, Dad, you don't want, no, go talk to yourself. So he does. He pulls her in for this really
very intense
scene. God, and my notes here is it starts off with her saying, "I love you like a daughter. Tell me what I want to know." To the last thing he says to her at the end of the conversation is, "Walk out of this cabin while you still can."
Yes.
I was taking notes on the episode, but once that scene started, I just had to watch because it's so powerful. And that is a kudo to Edward James Olmos. He's a great renowned actor, but also super kudos to Katie Sackhoff, who went into this moment with this huge actor, and they delivered that amazing performance. We can't do it justice. I'm not even going to try. Just during that, he draws it out of her, and she confesses to him the fact that she passed Zach when she shouldn't have, and she didn't want to do it because she was in love with him, and she didn't want to disappoint him.
Yeah.
And Adama, he just ends with, do your job, go train these pilots, do your job, and walk out of this cabin while you still can. So
it's very, very intense.
It's a mixture of business, but he's hurt and he's extremely disappointed. So she takes him back out there and she's training them, and you could tell she's committed. She's like, you know what? I'm going to be the best flight instructor, personal feelings aside.
These are going to be my pilots. And
these are going to be my pilots. I'm training them, because she's now challenged by wanting to regain the trust and respect of this father figure in her life. And so Cylons show up. A little patrol shows up of 8 Cylon raiders.
And she's out there with the 3
bunch of nuggets.
The three Cat, Hot Dog, and Chuckles. Those she's out there with them doing a training exercise when they show up.
And so they turn to run. They try to run, but
she tells them, she's like, we need to go go back to Galactica, land in Galactica or whatever. And so Galactica notices that the Cylons have showed up, so they're like, send the alert fighters. Well, they send the alert fighters, but they're 2 minutes out. So Kara's trying to get the noobs.
They're not going to make it
back. But she knows that they're not going to make it, so she tells them to go back, and she turns her.
She goes
she
one on 8,
and she's like, I'll do it.
1 on 8. And she
so
does it.
Yeah, she starts flying out there. But as soon as that happens, Hot Dog is immediately like, let's do this. And she turns around too, and goes after her. And she's like, no, you told you to go back. And he's like, well, you said to never leave your leader.
Yeah.
So they all go after her.
Yep. And so Hot Dog goes to help her. He really doesn't do too much. I think he gets 1, but Starbuck takes out like 7 other Cylons.
Yeah.
And the last one that she shoots down actually breaks and hits her ship. And then that's where you realize why she's crashing.
Right.
So they're above this, looks like a gaseous planet where the whole dogfight happens. And it's really cool. The graphics hold up. This show is so cool. 15 years, 16 years later, the graphics still hold up really, really well. Really great dogfight. Starbuck gets hit by some of the wreckage of the last Cylon that she shot down. And then she goes and descends into this planet.
She's crashing into the planet along with the Cylon too, because the Cylon ship is crashing into the planet, and then she's starting to crash into the planet too. And then her radio and everything goes out, and so that's kind of how the episode ends.
It's a nice little cliffhanger.
They're like, Starbucks. They think Starbuck has been hit, or
Yeah, dead. They don't even
they
know
think she's dead
because her
because
transponder's not working.
it immediately goes out. And usually, when that happens, it's
The
because
ship's
your
blown up.
ship has been blown up. So they
Mhm.
think she's all dead.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so yeah, then at the end this goes to be continued.
hmm
That was the big major plot line.
It was
So
a huge cliffhanger.
yeah, then you could see in that moment while the dogfight is happening, Adama's in the CIC and Lee's looking at Adama like he's like, does he know? Did he talk to her? Meanwhile Adama is wearing this guilt knowing that Starbucks single-handedly charged into 8 Cylons because of the guilt that he put on her.
hmm
Like she's trying to prove herself to him. And so he's feeling this guilt of maybe being a little too harsh in that moment,
hmm
and not embracing her, not showing her love, and when they're both obviously hurting. So he feels guilty for why she goes off and rushes at these 8 Cylons.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lee's watching him like, what's going on? He can see the anguish. Like,
hmm
is Dad okay? Does he know why she's out here doing this?
Yeah.
And so it's this triad between
hmm
the three of them of these intense guilt
Yeah.
and feelings and emotions, and it's on that the to be continued flashes at the bottom. Which
Yep.
we know as a viewer that Starbuck is descending to the planet.
hmm
The
But
Galactica
they all
has
think
no
she's dead.
idea what happened, and so that sets up the next episode coming.
Right.
So that was the big major storyline. There were two other ones that kind of they nodded at. You see Hilo and Sharon
hmm
on Caprica again.
hmm
They find this bunker following the colonial transponder, and there's
hmm
food and stuff in there, so they're still alive. They're still
Yes.
surviving. However, you see another 6 on Caprica kind of walking past.
So they know that they're there.
Yeah,
Like
the Cylons
the
know
Cylons know
that
that
the two
they're there, but
colonial pilots.
you kind of realize the story. Like they're following them intentionally because they're
Yes,
trying to see what happens with
yes,
this connection between the two of them.
yes. So they could end them any moment,
hmm
but they're not. They're watching them.
They're
So
watching.
you're kind of like, wait, what's going on?
They're
Why are they
studying
watching
them
them? So this kind
basically.
of like little kind of underlying storyline that's kind of tying things together. It's kind of
hmm
growing, kind of building. The tension's kind of building.
hmm
You got a little bit more insight into President Rosalind's situation. She
hmm
finally gets to meet with Doc Cottle.
hmm
I think when they showed Hilo and Sharon on Caprica, it said 16 days.
14.
14
14
days
days.
that Hilo has been on
Caprica.
Caprica. So it's been only 2 weeks since the Cylons attacked. So finally, 2 weeks have gone by, and President Rosalind has been able to finally get to talk to Doc Cottle,
hmm
check up on her cancer. And she's like, he's recommending, he's like, yeah, we can't operate. We
It's
can
too far.
we do radiation. And she's like, no, I've seen what radiation does to people. I want to try some alternative medicine. And so she says she wants to try this Kamala extract. And you don't think anything of it when you hear it in this moment.
hmm
You just think, oh my God, alternative medicine. And that's the same reaction that Doc Cottle has. He's like,
He's like, oh, you're one
oh
of
my,
those.
you're one of those. But that
hmm
route she takes with her treatment and trying to get her life back and her health back
There's a story there.
has huge implications
hmm
down the road. So, what do you think about the episode?
It was very intense. Very,
Mhm.
very intense.
Mhm.
I like, well, Starbuck's one of my favorite characters, so I always enjoy the episodes that she's kind of the main storyline of.
Mhm.
I like the intensity of it. I like the fact that you saw this dynamic between Adama and her,
Mhm.
because that really develops throughout the whole series, and how he has this is my daughter,
Yes.
about her. And so I really like watching that development and seeing that because, like I said, Starbuck's one of my favorite characters. So
It was a
I
Starbuck
really
episode
enjoy,
for
I really
sure.
enjoy
Yeah.
those episodes with her. Because all in all, I think she's a great actress too. I mean, she really captures the intense moments a lot better than some of the other characters. So I
Mhm.
really like how she's able to capture that emotion, and it really comes out in the episodes that she's in, especially like I said, this one, how intense it was. So
Mhm.
yeah, I liked it.
Cool. It had dogfights in it.
hmm
Like water didn't have a lot of action.
Mm-mm.
Uh, Bastille Day didn't have a lot of action.
Right.
Well, it had some action, but it wasn't space battle action.
Yeah.
So we finally get some space battles. We
Yeah.
get some dogfights. And it was really cool.
And the Cylons come back in. I mean, you
Yeah.
haven't really seen much of the
Yeah,
Cylons in the
passive
last few
aggressive. It's
episodes.
slowed down quite a bit.
Mhm.
So now it's starting to okay. And Ty says it. He's like, it's only a matter of time. We could
Mhm.
because they're stuck in place kind of another thing that they mentioned is that they're still mining the water.
The water.
So they're stuck at this watering
Right.
hole, kind of vulnerable. So it was only a matter of time before the Cylons would find them again and reintroduce this whole element of the fleet running. And it starts to pick back up. It starts to increase that tempo, so you get space battles again. You're absolutely right. I don't necessarily... The flashbacks that they did with Zach and all that stuff, I was it felt really kind of soap opera-ish to me.
I think it was just the way of putting the story out there, and like showing how intense, the relationship between Starbuck and Zach was.
I don't think it was even that necessary.
I
Honestly.
think it was.
It didn't make an ounce of difference to me. His lines and what things he said to her, and I think they even repeated some scenes, some things that she said, like where she's like, "You passed by the skin of your teeth, but you passed." When that line alone that scene didn't really make a difference to me. So it just felt like filler, just felt like fluff. But when you try to make the whole episode about just a dynamic of story happening between three characters, you got to really do a lot of fluff. But I think I would have preferred more meat of her and Lee and her and Adama, than all the flashback stuff that they did, But they split it up into 2 episodes. I think they maybe could have condensed it into 1 episode if they cut out all that fluff. But it was a good episode, though. Katie Sackhoff is top tier. Kudos to her again, because they've all brought it since day 1, the miniseries, episode 1. But this one was like really so intense, man. I think she tells the story, from what I understand, in Battlestar Galactica. She mentions that as one of her most memorable scenes, throughout the show. And then it was amazing. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
It was really good to kind of see that, get some more character development, some more meat. The little nods keep the tension building. I do feel like this episode kind of unplugged you for a bit, from the overall kind of pace of things. But it also dealt with, like you said, season 1 is about those day-to-day surviving in space, kind of like you do in the RV. Like, what do you do with the black tank? What do you do with the gray tank? When you're boondocking, what do you do for power? Like, what do they do for water? What do they do for people, bodies, for defense when the ones that they have are no longer available?
Right.
So this kind of keeps that kind of beat going for season 1. It was a really good episode. I enjoyed it. I'm just trying not to sound like a homer, so I'm being kind of so nitpicky. I love almost every episode.
Yeah.
So hopefully you enjoyed that breakdown of season 1, episode 4, Act of Contrition. I think the act of contrition that Starbuck did was going out after those 8 Cylons. She is sorry.
Yep.
She's trying to earn back herself to his good graces. So the act of contrition that she does in that moment is so momentous, so powerful. And she gets them all. She's a great pilot.
She is.
So she proves herself in that moment. And really powerful episode. Yeah. So again, hope you enjoyed that breakdown.
Hopefully.
And definitely more coming in the future. The format might change a little bit because we're thinking about these podcasts, and as we get out here on the road, we have more and more to talk about, just about our lives. So we may start rethinking how we pair these two together. We may do a separate podcast episode just for the breakdowns.
Yeah.
And we just don't want these to run too long. But we do think the content is all interesting and valuable to different people out there. So just how we package it and how we deliver it may change in the future.
Yep.
But that's all we got for today, and we'll see you down the road.
See you down the road.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing to our video channel and podcast. We've absolutely loved building connections with the RV community and anyone else interested in this lifestyle.
So if you'd like to connect with us, please follow us on Instagram and YouTube at So Say We Travel, or visit us at SoSayWeTravel.com.
See you down the road.